Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we sift through all the noise, the headlines, the rumors, the box scores that honestly look like accounting spreadsheets, and we pull out what you actually need to know.
Exactly. We're doing the work so you don't have to. Our mission today is kind of a mid-season velocity check. We've gone through a ton of recent coverage, and more importantly, some of the advanced metrics that tell a story the basic stats just can't.
And we're zeroing in on four really specific situations. First, there's a potential crisis brewing in Cleveland that has the team owner pretty upset.
Then we'll break down a completely wild overtime game between the Kings and the Rockets that exposed some, let's say, major flaws.
After that, we have to talk about a certain team in the East. Are they actually back? We'll see. And
Finally, we head up north to Toronto to look at a historically bad offensive slump. I mean, the numbers are just, they're shocking.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with what might be the most expensive 15 and 14 team in the entire league.
Yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the question everyone's asking is, is it time to hit the panic button?
Well, when you look at how much money they've spent, baby.
I think the red lights are definitely flashing. I mean, you've got the most expensive roster in the NBA. You've just dropped 3 straight games to fall to 15 and 14. And now reports are leaking that owner Dan Gilbert is, let's just say, profoundly unhappy.
Which is never a good sign. The expectation for this team wasn't just to be good, it was to be a contender.
A legitimate title threat. And when you're paying for top-tier results and getting, well, mediocrity, someone's going to get blamed.
And that usually starts with the coach, right? We're already hearing whispers about Kenny Atkinson's job being on the line. Is he the real problem, or is this just the easy move when the owner gets angry?
Look, if they fire Kenny Atkinson right now, that would be an absolute panic move. Plain and simple.
A total panic move.
Yeah. It's basically you signaling to the league that your season is over. The data on teams that fire coaches mid-season, it's not good. The success rate for turning things around is incredibly low. It's usually just a way to find a scapegoat when you can't or won't fix the real issues.
And the sources we looked at suggest that's often the case, right? Firing the coach is the easy way out when changing the roster itself is impossible. So why is it so hard for Cleveland to make a trade right now?
Okay, so this is where it gets a little technical, but it's super important. They are operating above the second salary apron.
Right. And for you listening, that's not just a bigger tax bill. It comes with some serious handcuffs.
Crippling limitations, really. They lose major tools for team building. They can't use the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is how contenders add key pieces.
And trades get way more complicated.
Exactly. They can't take back more salary than they send out. And this is the big one. They can't bundle multiple player salaries together to trade for one more expensive player. So big move, like, say, trading Jarrett Allen, it becomes almost impossible to pull off.
So you're stuck. You can't easily trade your big pieces. Firing the coach is a panic move you probably shouldn't make. So you have to look for answers inside the locker room.
And that brings us directly to what I think we can call the Darius Garland paradox.
Yeah.
Because the advanced stats are telling a really, really weird story about him since he came back from that jaw injury.
Yeah, and the eye test matches the numbers. The team just looks out of sync when he's out there. They're only 5 and 8 in the games he's actually played this year.
But let's put some hard numbers on that. It's not just out of sync, it's staggering. In the recent losses, when Garland is on the court, the Cavs have a -12 net rating.
-12.
Yeah. For context, a -12 net rating is what you see from teams that are actively trying to lose games to get a high draft pick. They are getting destroyed when he's on the floor in those games.
And the flip side of that is just as telling, isn't it?
It is. Because when Garland is off the court, their net rating jumps all the way up to a positive 5.2. That's a 17-point swing. The team is just flat out better right now when their max contract point guard is sitting on the bench.
It's unbelievable. So the talent is there. But the whole point of this team, their entire future, is built around the pairing of Garland and Donovan Mitchell. How is that relationship holding up?
That's where the biggest red flag is. The synergy is broken. When Donovan Mitchell plays without Garland, the Cavs have an elite championship-level net rating of +10.
+10, that's dominant.
Top of the league stuff. But as soon as Garland joins him on the court, that number plummets all the way down to +1.1.
Wait. A 9-point drop just by adding your other all-star?
A 9-point drop.
I have to push back a little here, though. Garland is coming off a serious injury. Couldn't it be that Mitchell is just pressing, trying to do too much because he knows Garland isn't 100%? Why are we putting this all on Garland?
That's a fair point, and visually, you might be right. Mitchell might be pressing. But the data is just so overwhelming. And if you want the final nail in the coffin for this argument, let's look at what happens when Garland has to run the show by himself.
Okay. What do the numbers say when he plays without Mitchell?
It's a catastrophe. When Garland is on the floor and Mitchell is on the bench, the Cavaliers' net rating is a staggering -15.
Wow. -15.
It's proof that, right now, in his current state, he's just not able to lift the team on his own. Whether it's the injury, his confidence, conditioning, whatever it is, statistically, he's the primary issue.
So, okay. The sky isn't literally falling. They're still only 2.5 games out of third place in the East. But they can't keep going like this.
They can't. The core issue is that their two stars make the team worse when they play together.
Yeah.
That has to be fixed. And maybe the answer is a tough one. You sit at Garland until he's fully 100% healthy instead of letting him play through it and sink your record.
But doing that just highlights another huge problem, which is their lack of backup guard depth. If he sits, who's taking those minutes? It's a massive structural flaw. They can't trade. They shouldn't fire the coach. Fixing the Mitchell-Garland paradox is the only path forward.
A real Achilles heel.
Yeah.
The pressure is on.
All right, let's pivot from Cleveland's internal crisis to a game that was all about external chaos. A wild, wild finish out in Sacramento.
This was just a fantastic game to watch.
Yeah.
Sacramento Kings pulling out a 125-124 overtime win against the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
And it was a huge win for the Kings, but maybe even a bigger loss for Houston.
It was an absolute thriller, defined by these huge clutch moments. I mean, you had Russell Westbrook hitting that massive corner three to force overtime in the first place. It was just vintage Westbrook.
Total chaos. And then in OT, Dennis Schroeder comes up with the game-winning three. Just an incredible finish, and you had great performances all around. DeMar DeRozan was so steady with 27-9, and Keegan Murray really stepped up with 26 points.
But like you said, let's look at it from Houston's side, because this loss seems to say a lot about some deeper issues with that team, especially with Ime Udoka's coaching decisions.
Well, the first thing that jumps out is that he used a super tight 8-man rotation. In an overtime game, that can really wear your guys down.
Right. But here's the thing that makes that even more questionable, the schedule.
This detail is just wild. This was only Houston's third back-to-back of the entire season.
Stop and think about that. Third. Most teams are on their 7th or 8th by now. We just talked about how tired the Cavs are. The Rockets have had, like, a pretty cushy schedule so far, so fatigue just isn't an excuse here.
None at all.
Yeah.
Which is why one of the sources we saw called this a letdown of letdown games. It points to a lack of mental toughness, not physical exhaustion. If you want to be a serious team in the West, you have to win these games, especially when the schedule makers handed you an advantage.
So if it's not fatigue, the blame has to fall on execution and the offensive system.
And that's where the sharpest criticism came from. The source basically described Houston's clutch offense as, and I'm quoting here, simple, isolate, goon plays.
So just give the ball to your best guy and pray.
Pretty much. It's not a structured offense designed to get the best shot. It's just hoping for individual heroics. And that's a problem because it's predictable. Defenses know what's coming. Their clutch time offensive rating is in the bottom 10 of the league for a reason.
So you have tired stars from a short rotation running a simplistic offense in the most important moments. That sounds like a recipe for exactly what happened. A preventable loss.
It was an organizational failure. Plain and simple. Now let's go from a team that can't close to one that suddenly can't seem to lose, even if it's a bit of a mirage.
Okay, let's talk about the Eastern Conference team that's suddenly making a lot of noise. And I have to admit, as someone who follows this team pretty closely, I'm watching, I am a Bulls fan. And I gotta say, this little run has been a very pleasant surprise. They've won 3 straight games, and that includes that absolutely nuts, no defense allowed shootout against the Hawks, 152-150. In regulation.
302 total points. The scoreboard operator was working overtime on that one.
They must have been. It was thrilling to watch. Finally, some fun basketball in Chicago.
It was definitely fun, and it gives you Bulls fans a reason to be excited. But it also begs the question, is this real? Is it sustainable? Because that offensive explosion was something else.
It really was. I mean, you had Modest Prezels with 28 points. Josh Giddey was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double with 19, 12, and 9. Iowa Zabuk was setting the tone. The energy was just different.
And the efficiency was off the charts. They shot almost 70% inside the arc. They hit 23s. When you're shooting like that, yeah, you're probably going to win. But it also suggests they were shooting, way above their heads.
Sure. But you have to capitalize when a team plays defense as badly as the Hawks did. They gave up so many open looks, 26 fast break points. Atlanta was a mess.
Yeah. That kind of brings us to the reality check. I'm sorry to be the one to do this.
Oh, here it comes. Lay it on me. Is it fool's gold?
The source conclusion was pretty blunt. It said, I can't say that the Bulls are back, because while the offense was great for a night, the defense is still, well, the source just said it's bad. That win was more about the Hawks having a collective disaster defensively than it was about the Bulls becoming a juggernaut.
A 140 defensive rating allowed by Atlanta. That's historically bad.
It is. And then you look at the whole three-game winning streak. Who did they beat? All three wins came against teams that have lost the majority of their games in the last 10. These aren't world beaters. And this is the same Bulls team that was losing to all the bad teams earlier in the year.
Right. So we're beating teams that are already down. It's encouraging, but it's not a sign that we've fixed the big problems.
Exactly. It's a sign of their offensive potential, for sure. But the poor defense, the quality of competition, it means this isn't a sustainable turnaround. Not yet, anyway. It's more like they're finding their true level, which is probably right in the middle of that messy play-in tournament picture.
I'll take it for now. I appreciate the honesty, even if it stings a little.
Of course.
Okay, speaking of teams that are struggling, let's head north of the border to Toronto, where things have gone from promising to pretty dire.
Yeah, the Raptors are a really tough spot. They actually have a decent record, 17-13, mostly built on a strong start. But right now, they're in a massive downturn, and it's all because their offense has just completely vanished.
And it really bottomed out in that game against the Nets.
That Nets game was an abomination. They scored 81 points. Their offensive rating was 82.7. The sources confirmed this was, and this is a direct quote, the worst offensive game any team has played all year long.
The worst. 0 percentile.
0 percentile. You literally cannot be worse. Out of every single game played this season, that was the single lowest offensive output.
And the only reason they're even competitive at all is because their defense is still really good.
It's still top 10. It's the only thing keeping them afloat. But you can't win if you can't score, and the collapse on offense seems to be tied directly to one player's absence, R.J. Barrett.
The difference is that stark.
It's unbelievable. When Barrett was healthy, their offense was flirting with top 5 in the league. Over the 13 games he's missed, they are dead last. 30 out of 30.
Wow. From top 5 to dead last.
It's a total collapse. He provides so much rim pressure, and without him, everything else gets harder. But his return alone won't fix it, because there's another, deeper problem with the pick-and-roll game between Immanuel Quickley and Jakob Poeltl.
And this is where it gets really messy, right, with the injuries.
Yeah. Poeltl is dealing with a back injury, and his status is unknown. He only played 6 minutes the other night. That injury basically cripples Immanuel Quickley.
Who is supposed to be their offensive engine?
He's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when he's right, he's elite. Statistically, he's in the 92nd percentile as a pick-and-roll ball handler. That is top-tier stuff. He lives off that action.
But Poeltl is the key to unlocking that, isn't he?
He's everything to unlocking that. Poeltl is his best screen partner. He's huge. He's physical. He sets these incredible screens that give Quickley the separation he needs to get downhill. Without Poeltl, Quickley's primary weapon is, as the source said, totally erased.
And you see it in his performance. The box scores have been brutal.
Brutal. Like 3 points on 1 for 12 shooting against the Celtics. He's not a great one-on-one creator. He needs that pick-and-roll action to get his game going. Without it, he's just lost.
So your starting point guard is neutralized, your starting center is hurt, and then you look to the bench for help and
you find what one source called the Triforce of Nothingness. Ochi, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter. If they're just not providing any scoring or shooting. Grady Dick was drafted to be a shooter, and he's not making shots. The bench is a black hole.
It's a domino effect. One injury takes out 2 key players' effectiveness, and there's no depth to pick up the slack.
So what it all means is, yes, R.J. Barrett's return will help a lot. They won't be the worst offense in the league with him back. But they can't get back to that top 5 level as long as Poeltl's health is a question mark. And Quickley's game is stuck in neutral. They desperately need more shooting and another guard who can create off the bench. So we've laid it all out. You've got the Cavs, who are stuck because of their finances and their 2 stars not fitting together. And you've got the Raptors, whose offense has fallen into an abyss because of injuries and a lack of depth. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. Considering how much pressure both of these teams are under to salvage their seasons, will one of them be forced to make a risky season-altering trade before Christmas? The clock is definitely ticking.
That is an excellent, provocative question to leave our listeners with. We'll be tracking those front office decisions and the data closely as we head into the new year. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Spotify, please leave 5-star review. It will help the channel grow. Until next time, please check our previous episodes.